What is the darkness? What does it want? Why has it come here? We've asked these questions for a long time, and up until Shadowkeep, we didn't have many answers. But with the arrival of the Black Fleet in Seoul, these questions became far more pressing, and time is of the essence. If we wish to defeat the darkness, we must understand it. On Lua we found what we thought to be a slumbering pyramid ship, but when we entered the vessel we found that it had been waiting for us. It beckoned us further into its depths, announcing the light. We fought our nightmares and we conquered them yet again. After fighting off the ghosts of the past, we came to a staircase where we were given an unknown artifact. Upon touching the artifact, we were given a vision of the Black Garden and a message from a ghastly copy of ourselves. We were transported back to Eris, where each week, with her help, we could uncover more messages from the darkness. After we destroyed the Almighty with Rasputin's help, the darkness came to Io. Here it began to corrupt the Tree of Silver Wings. We took its seed, and with the help of the Drifter and his technology, we were able to empower the Seed of Silver Wings with dark energy, enabling us to communicate with the darkness on an each-week basis. The first entry goes as follows. Protected. Report by VanNet Encrypted Router. Reference obvious. The enemy insinuates that we are hobbled by the Traveler's protection, denied our full potential. This is expected. Our foe comprehends only violence and its beauty. Personal notes scratched in hive leather with a flake of Lonian stone. The tired insinuation that protection is weakness. I expected more from our great foe. When we hunted the first trespasser on the moon, I discovered the journal of a Golden Age commander. Guing Zhan had faith and training, still the darkness seduced her, and this is the insidious power that turned her against her god. I am learning to cook. I salvaged a hot plate back on the moon. It was vacuum welded to the countertop. I had to cut it free. My hands ache, but they are steadier. Cousin Asher, you would find the concept of vacuum welding upsetting. Press two sheets of metal together in void, and their atoms cannot tell which seat they belong to. They cross freely. Two become one. I sleep beside an intruding pyramid. I am deep in its shadow. Back in the tower, beneath the traveler. Could they understand how I am vacuum welded to the enemy? Ikora would understand. She studied the Taken with me, despite the risks, and Zavala values foresight. But he also fears the next Lysander, the next Tolan, the next Reza Lazir. He fears what I could teach his guardians. He is wary of being the one saying no when all of his guardians shout yes, yes. But it's his duty, and he loves when duty hurts. Forceful angled cuts. I am afraid. I am afraid that if I go on, I will lose everything I have regained, all my peace, all my trusts, all my hopes, and I will even destroy my dear friend who fights where I cannot. A blank space. I need to make a walk. I'm going to take an angle grinder to the rotor disc from an old rover. I must find cooking oil to season it. I will search through Cousin's old caches tomorrow. Tonight I cook fried rice. Rice and raisins will come from my stores. The recipe calls for pineapple. This is a joke. A pine-flavored apple. I will substitute breadfruit, if I can find it. This message seeks to persuade us that the light holds us back from our true potential. It's clear in many of its messages that the darkness seeks to sway us to its side. Perhaps more troubling is what the darkness prophesies. In its fourth entry, the darkness speaks of a second collapse. The entry goes as follows. Cusp. Report by VanNet Encrypted Router. This is a threat. The enemy implies we are on the edge of a second collapse. There are intimations of a repeated mistake, an error we will make again. Perhaps it is a demand for surrender. Personal notes scratched in hive leather with a flake of Lonian stone. The collapse was a murder, genocide. Why does the enemy imply it was our error? I was born long after the Golden Age, but I do feel loyalty to that time and compassion. Humanity thought it was immortal. So did I once. What should we have learned from the collapse? That we are weak, obvious, and false? No. That we made errors in our defense? Our enemy is not a strategy instructor, no. That everything grown must die, hope is futile, etc., tiresome. Death may be inevitable, but life is worth fighting for, to protect and extend. No. That the traveler is using us for its own ends? Then why would it sacrifice itself? No. That the darkness is not our enemy, it's only the traveler's enemy. The enemy suggests we should have turned on the traveler during the collapse, cracked it like an egg. I see shades of the prisoner's dilemma that occupied Guang Zhen. If traveler and humanity cooperate, both suffer. If humanity maims a traveler as it tries to flee, both are destroyed. But if the traveler chooses to help us, and we turn against it, offer it to the enemy suggests this would have been our salvation. For now, I subsist on thick pemmican and vitamin paste. I crave fresh food. I must invite someone to share this meal I will someday cook. My palate is toughened. I will need a taster. Perhaps I should not have sent the Sumerian woman away. Sumerian woman is in reference to the previous entry, where a guardian came to Eris to help her, but was sent away. In this entry, the darkness implies that we should have betrayed the traveler during the collapse, saying that this would have been our salvation. But can we trust our enemy? They've seemingly come in peace. We were offered to join them in the last message from the darkness, in the lore book Unveiling. The entry goes as follows. The wager. Your shoemaker philosopher was right, and it matters more than anything. Sorrow cannot survive death, and it cannot precede birth. Those who exist have more worth, and those who do not have none. Think about it. Do you mourn the uncreated? Do you grieve for those who were never born in a nation that never developed or an ideology no one imagined on a continent that never formed? No. And from that self-evident truth you must raise your eyes to the ultimate revelation. Those who cannot sustain their own claim to existence belong to the same moral category as those who never existed at all. Existence is the first and truest proof of the right to exist. Those who cannot claim and hold existence do not deserve it. This is the true and only divination, a game whose losers are not just forgotten, but are never born at all. That which cannot claim and hold existence is not real. You do not mourn the unreal. Why should you care for it? Tend it, guard it. It was the gardener that chose you from the dead. I wouldn't have done that. It's just not in me. But now that they have invested themselves in you, you are incredibly, uniquely special. That wandering refugee chose to make a stand, spend their power to say, here I prove myself right. Here I wager that given power over physics and the trust of absolute freedom, people will choose to build and protect a gentle kingdom ringed in spears, and not fall to temptation, and not surrender to division, and never yield to the cynicism that says, everyone else is so good that I can afford to be a little evil. The gardener is all in. They're playing for keeps, and they are wrong, or so I argue, for, after all, the universe is undecidable. There is no destiny. We're all making this up as we go along. Neither the gardener nor I know for certain that we are eternally, universally right, but we can be nothing except what we are. You have a choice. You are the gardener's final argument. It would mean everything if I could convince you that I am the right and only way. I truly value you. To the gardener you are a means to an end. To me you are majestic. Majestic. You are full of the only thing worth anything at all. I am by the only standard that matters or will ever matter. The winning team. Existence is a test that most will fail. Would you not count yourself among the victorious few? Don't hurry to deliver your answer. I'll come over and hear it myself. We cannot know if our enemy is lying to us, but it is likely. The darkness seems to want to destroy the traveler, and it wants us to help it do so. But I believe we should take both sides of the argument into account, despite the difficulty. The traveler doesn't speak to us, but it has given us everything. When you wield stasis in November, Guardian, remember your roots. That's all for now, but think on the darkness's intentions. And would a world without everything we love in it be worth living? Without the city? Without the people in it? Without the light? Would this be a good world?